Hi, I'm Dr. John Sherk. It is 11 o'clock on Wednesday morning Central Time, and therefore it is time for Brown Bag Lunch. I am a consultant, and I work with air conditioning companies on competing for talent with their culture instead of wages. I do some succession planning as well for my clients who need that. And this time is here so that every week I can give a little bit of knowledge to you for free as a way of us getting to know each other. So today what I want to talk about are 5 conversations for performance. And these conversations are not my invention. They come from the Gallup organization. Now, if you're not familiar with Gallup, people who have heard of Gallup normally have heard of them as a survey company, like Gallup polls, right? Well, they're a research company, and they're the leading researcher on the planet in all forms of employee engagement. So they have been gathering data for about 30 years now, and Jim Harder, their head of data research, has produced some amazing literature and very helpful literature to me and to my clients about this issue of improving their culture to compete for talent. So what I'm giving you today is largely from them, a little bit me, largely from them. And what I want to encourage you to do, if nothing else, after this, hearing this today, is just do a Google search on Gallup employee engagement and get to their login page on their website and start getting their content, because it will definitely align with the things that you hear from me, and will give you a lot more, again, free content, free help from them. So let's go into these 5 conversations for performance. Now, what is the beginning point of performance? Well, just pause and think about that for a minute. Where does performance begin? Is it effort? Is it vision? Where does it begin? Well, I have a PhD in human capital development, which is sort of the measurement of the human side of things, especially as measured in dollars. And in my opinion, performance really begins with measurement. Otherwise, you're just running around. Otherwise, you're just shooting the ball or whatever, just kicking it around. When you begin to measure something, that's the starting point for performance. And it is why the number one issue to make sure that you have settled with your employees and the people that your team is, are they really clear of clear on what you expect of them? Do they really know? Really? Only 50% of employees, when surveyed, strongly agree with the statement, I know what is expected of me. But if I get a bunch of managers in a room and I say, do all of your people know what is expected of them? They all say yes, all of them do. Okay, so there's a gap here. Now, these 5 conversations are part of closing that gap, in part about the measurement, what's being measured, what is being expected of me, and also just to build the relationship between you and them. So here's the 5. The first one is a role and relationship orientation conversation. This is the day 1 conversation, and maybe a once a year conversation. But for sure on day 1, when it's established, who's in charge, who am I, who are you, what are we trying to get done here, what is your role? It's getting the initial orientation started. And it may seem like it's obvious, but I can tell you there are many, many employees who get a cubicle and an email and a laptop, and they get told where the bathroom is, and then it's like, now what am I supposed to do? Right? Well, you know how to do this, go do it. They aren't given a proper orientation. So it's this conversation, and there may be even a room full of 5 people who are the new people this week, or whatever it is. But the question really is, are they getting what they need from you? Right? So that's the real question. In that role and relationship orientation meeting, are they getting what they need from you? This is day 1. Now, the next one is the quick connect. In the quick connect, this is where 1 to 10 minutes, not scheduled, and the function of this is to, like it says, connect with them and see, making yourself available to solve a problem or help them solve a problem. How are things going? What are you working on? How can I help? Once a week, you should make an effort to do this at least once a week, to do a quick connect with everybody on your team. And the purpose of this is to reinforce to them that you're available to help them with their challenges. Your job as the manager is not just to tell them what to do. Your job as the manager is to help them be successful. And so if they have barriers or they need help or they're stuck or they're working outside of their strengths, this is where the quick connect, you make yourself available. Now, sometimes people call it a quick connect, but what they're really doing is policing everybody. And that's not the connect. The connect we're talking about is where it's positive and they're feeling supported because you're checking in. Okay. Now, the next one is the check-in. This is more formal, scheduled, once or twice a month, probably. Some people do this weekly. And you're more formally checking in on the performance or the developmental goals that they have. And again, the question is, what are they learning? What are they good at? And are they using it? You know, when I do strategic planning with a business, one of the core questions is, what is this company good at? And how are they taking it to market to deliver services to a customer, right? The same thing needs to keep happening with you because there's a drift that can happen over time. So you have to do the same thing with your team. You and they both have to know what they're good at and that they're deploying that in getting their work done, right? That they're not drifting off, not just in terms of the task focus, but in how they're getting the work done. Are they continuing to do it the way that they're good at doing it? So that's about once or twice a month. Some people do it weekly. Now, the fourth conversation is developmental coaching. And this is really tied to more of a project. And so here, think in terms of the beginning of the project, getting oriented to what are our goals here? What are we trying to get accomplished? What resources are available? The status check-ins in the middle of the project, and then the completion of the project. What did we learn? Okay. Now, here again, this conversation happens commonly, but all of the conversation is about the project itself. What I'm encouraging you to do here is, yes, talk about the project, but talk to the person. How are you doing? What barriers are you facing? Where are you winning right now? Right? Taking that not just project, but also people approach to this developmental coaching. It's using the project, not that the project getting complete doesn't matter. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying while someone is working on a project, that's when it's prime time for their development, because you've got an actual theater of practice to engage them and see where are they good and how can they learn from this. Okay. Now, the fifth one is the progress review. Now, or performance review. This, I would say, in my experience, is the most routinely practiced, routinely done ineffective practice in all of business. I just think, why do we keep doing these things once a year? They don't work once a year. These things need reinforcement. If you're not having these other conversations, how do you even do an annual progress review? You're going to pull out a document you haven't seen in a year. You're going to give somebody some kind of score, and then they're going to have this weird, awkward conversation about whether they're performing or not. You're going to have recency bias in that review. So do them, but first of all, do them quarterly. Don't do them annually, right? And create this sort of positive energy around it. And ask these 6 questions. Again, think less boss, think more coach. Now, these are the 6 questions. You can write them down. Number 1, what accomplishment are you most proud of in the last 3 months? And let them answer. Don't tell them what you think it ought to be. What accomplishment are you most proud of in the last 3 months? Okay. Number 2, what made that the one you're most proud of? In other words, why this one? What is it about this one? Is it the difficulty? Is it you really soared and did it well? Like, what is it about this project? And then number 3, what was different about it that you did it so well? See, what we're trying to do now is isolate why is this your one you picked over the last 3 months? Question number 4, what strengths did you use? Now, Gallup has a survey to determine specifically what are your top strengths, right? So if you use this with your people, have this pulled out, have it prepared, What are your top 5 and did you deploy those? If you don't have that, instill in your people the comfort of having a conversation around what are you good at and how can you spend more time doing things using that, right? So, for example, I have a client who is head of operations over a fairly large organization, and he is fantastic at focus. I mean, he is very good at making sure no one's distracted. He can get a lot of different things done by deploying focus. So that's what we're talking about here. If you people are very good at something else, if they're very good at learning, then how are they using learning to get done what they need to get done? So what strengths did you use? Number 5 question, how can we get more of this kind of performance in the future? Right? And then number 6, and this one is the kicker, what did you learn from this that you can apply to other areas of your work? Right? Now, usually what happens in a review is people go in and they say, hey, here's where you did good. And now here's where you stink. Right? The here's where you stink part, I'm encouraging you to handle that by saying, let's get clear on what you're good at. And then how can we transfer those abilities over here where it's not your highest performance? I mean, if you're good and you do where you do things based on where you're good, you're probably going to just do well. And so how can we get more of that going in your work world? That's the kind of the basis of the progress review. Okay. So there's your 5 conversations: role and relationship orientation, the quick connect, the check-in, developmental coaching, and the progress review. And keep that progress review going quarterly, not annually. Okay. Now, if you like what you saw today or heard today, and you would like to hear more about it, then please reach out to me. I'd love to talk with you one-on-one. No charge if we get into some real work later, that is, but I just want to get to know you and you can get to know me and kind of what my voice is and what I deliver in our market. So I'm Dr. John Sherk. This has been Brown Bag Lunch, and thanks so much for your time. We'll see you next week.